Hello, we are starting today chapter 12 Biotechnology and its application. This is class 12 biology topic. So we have learnt about biotechnology, that is nothing but use of living organisms by different techniques to produce different products which are of human benefit. Now let us see the applications of biotechnology. They are used in biopharmaceutics, genetically modified plants, therapeutics, diagnostic, processed food, bioremediation, waste treatment, and energy production. These are all different possible uses of biotechnology, and one by one we will see about different uses. Let us have a look at different research areas of biotechnology. What are the different research areas? First of all, we need to provide the best catalyst. Best catalyst in form of improved organism, usually that is microbe or pure enzyme. We need to have this best purest form of this enzyme or microbe. Then we need to create optimal condition. After we have got the microbe or pure enzyme, we need to create optimal condition, that is the temperature, pH, their food requirement, everything according to their requirement. We need to provide the catalyst to act. Then we need to give downstream processing to purify this protein or organic compound. These are the three main research area of biotechnology for making it successful tool of human benefit. Now, what are the applications in agriculture? First, let us start with agriculture, which is a very much researched area nowadays. In agriculture, there are three options to increase the food production. As the food requirement increase, we need to have the food production techniques also. There are three main options. There are ways by agrochemical based agriculture. This is agrochemical. Mainly chemical based products are used. Another one is organic agriculture. In this, it is chemical free, you can say. And third one is genetically modified crop. In this, we just modify the genetic makeup of the plant so that plants will have the natural fighting ability against the disease. It will be having natural growing capacity also. This is genetically modified crop based agriculture. So these are the three main techniques by which we can increase food production. But out of these three, this is the biotechnology related. How the genetically modified crops or plants are important. See, they are the plants, genetically modified agriculture. In this, we use plants, genetically modified plants, animals, bacteria, fungi. In them, if the genes are been altered, they are called as genetically modified organisms. Or in short, they are called as GMO, genetically modified organism, in which the natural genetic makeup has been manipulated and the genetic makeup has been changed according to desired genes, genes of interest. What are the advantages? Let us have a look of genetically modified organisms. The crops which are grown by genetically modified organisms, they are more tolerant to abiotic stress like cold, salt, drought, heat. That means they are able to grow in excessive cold, salt, drought or heat condition. They have reduced reliance on chemical pesticide. They do not need, if they don't need also, that is very much reduced in amount than the naturally occurring plant. So they have reduced requirement of chemical pesticide. They reduce the post harvest losses. Like for example, like tomato, potato, etc. If they are genetically modified, then they will be modified such a way that after harvesting they can stay fresh and they can last for long time. And then that is why that reduce the post harvest losses. Then it is having increased efficiency of mineral usage by plants. That means plants can use more and more minerals from soil, and that will not be affected by soil fertility. Enhanced nutritional value of the food. For example, rice, genetically modified rice are grown, which are rich in vitamin A. So these are the benefits of genetically modified plants or genetically modified organisms, right? Now, application in agriculture. What are the applications of genetically modification? See, pest-resistant plants. If you have to grow genetically modified plants, we can grow pest-resistant plants. See, many of the plants, they are infected by pests or insects. If these plants are genetically modified such a way that they have the capacity to kill the pest, then it will be pest-resistant plant. Pest-resistant plants, they act as biopesticide and reduce the need for insecticide. For example, BT cotton, BT corn, rice, tomato, potato, soybean, etc. These are all examples of genetically modified plants. BT, what is BT? See, first let us see BT cotton. The most famous among all BT plants is BT cotton. Some strains of Bacillus thuringiensis, BT stands for Bacillus, B stands for Bacillus, T stands for thuringiensis. So some of the strains of Bacillus thuringiensis have proteins that kill certain insects like Lepidopterans that infect tobacco bird worm, armyworm. Okay, these are the name of the insects that infect the tobacco plant, and coleopterans that are nothing but group of beetles, and dipterans, they are flies and mosquitoes. So these are the group of insects which can be killed by different proteins produced by Bacillus thuringiensis. Now, this forms a protein crystals which contain the toxin insecticidal protein. Now, these crystals, when they are produced in Bacillus thuringiensis, they are in inactive form. They are inactive protoxin. But once this, suppose take an example of cotton. Suppose take an example of Bacillus thuringiensis have produced inactive protoxin. But if you introduce this BT toxin in these plants, when the insect grows in that, this toxin will go inside insect gut, right? And inside the gut of insect, there is alkaline pH, which makes the toxin active, which activates the toxin, and that causes the toxin binds the midgut epithelial cell of the insect. And then because of osmotic lysis, it causes the death of the insect. See here in detail. When this is ingestion of the toxin, inactive protoxin. After ingestion of the toxin here, because of alkaline pH, it becomes active. This is the symbol of active toxin. This is the symbol of protoxin, and this black one is called it is a symbol of active toxin. Because of the alkaline pH, it has been activated. Now this this active toxin, it binds to the epithelial cells of the gut of the insect, and it causes a pore formation in the epithelial cell. It causes a pore formation, and see, the pore is formed, and then from this the water goes inside the cell and the cell gets swollen. That causes osmotic lysis of the cells, and that in turn osmotic lysis of the cell, and that causes the death of this insect. So this is how the BT toxin acts. Now there are different, as I said, there are different kind of toxin produced by BT, Bacillus thuringiensis. This toxin is coded by Cry-gene. Now if it is Cry1AC, this protein coded by Cry1AC and Cry2AB, if these are the two different genes that control cotton bollworms, that can kill cotton bollworms. If it is Cry1AB, that controls corn borer insect. So different Cry genes control different pests in the plant. So that is why BT toxin, Bacillus thuringiensis toxin, it has large number of genes which produce the toxin, and that is why it is largely used for genetically modified plants in agriculture field. Now, nematode resistant in tobacco plants. This is also about insect infection. Nematode called Meloidogyne incognita. This infects the root of tobacco plant. This is the microscopic picture of this nematode. It causes the root of it infect the root of tobacco plant, and then it causes the reduction in tobacco yield. But it is prevented by RNA interference. What is RNA interference technique? In this nematode specific genes, they are introduced to host plant. We have learned our recombinant DNA technique, right? By this recombinant DNA technique, the nematode specific DNA which will be entered into the host, that means tobacco plant, using agrobacterium vector. This produces sense and antisense RNA which are complementary to each other, and that forms double-stranded RNA. dsRNA means double-stranded RNA. This initiate RNA interference. Okay, this initiate RNA interference, and then it silences the nematode RNA, which result in death of nematode. Okay, it binds with the complementary RNA, and then it causes the death of this nematode RNA. That process is called as RNA interference. By the help of RNA interference, this nematode can be killed. Now, this was about application in agriculture. Coming to application in medicine field, therapeutics. What are the applications of biotechnology? First of all, genetically engineered insulin. That is very much known that insulin is used for diabetes treatment. Gene therapy and molecular diagnosis. Let us learn three in detail. First one, genetically engineered insulin. Now earlier, this insulin was obtained from cattle and pigs. You know, insulin is insulin is a hormone which controls the sugar level in our body. If the insulin is produced in normal range, the sugar level will be maintained in the body. But if the insulin is reduced, not produced in sufficient amount, then the sugar gets increased, because insulin is not produced to maintain the sugar level. So, to control this sugar level, to control the diabetes, we need to provide the patient insulin from outside. We need to give insulin injection, right? And for this purpose, insulin was obtained from cattle and pigs earlier. But it was found that some of the patients were allergic to cattle and pigs insulin. So that is why what was done, the insulin was prepared in the laboratory. See, what is the structure? This is the structure of insulin. Proinsulin means it is inactive insulin. You can say these are the two. Insulin is made up of polypeptide chain. This is polypeptide chain A, this is B, and this gray colored one you can see that is polypeptide C. This is A, B and C. Now this insulin structure which contains polypeptide A, B and C, that is called as proinsulin, which is, you can say, it is inactive form. It is not yet acting. Now when it is, see, A and B, they are connected by disulfide bond. You can see here, this is the disulfide bond, and when it matures, when the insulin is active, this polypeptide chain A and polypeptide chain B both remain connected with disulfide bond, but polypeptide C chain, it gets separated. It is freed from the insulin. Now this is polypeptide chain A and B was prepared in lab by Eli Lilly American company in 1983. This was prepared by two DNA sequences corresponding to polypeptide chain A and B. Now this was introduced in plasmid of E. coli to produce more polypeptide chains, like more insulin, and then they were connected by disulfide bond. That was how the insulin was produced in laboratory, right? Then this E. coli is used for producing the insulin in large number, and then we can use this insulin, we can isolate, we can purify this insulin from E. coli, and then injection of insulin can be provided in the to the patients of diabetes. Then this is about genetically engineered insulin. I hope you have understood. Next is gene therapy. What is gene therapy? Now, in some of the people, there is some genetic defect. If that genetic defect is corrected and replaced by a functional gene, see, if delivering the normal gene into individual or embryo to take over the function of non-functional gene. In some people, if some gene is non-functional, then this gene can be identified based on its function. It can be removed and then it can be replaced by functional gene. This is the process called as gene therapy. Now, the first clinical gene therapy was done in 1990 to a 4-year-old girl. That was done for adenosine deaminase deficiency. This adenosine deaminase enzyme is required for immune system to function. Blood cells, how is the gene therapy done? You can see the picture here. First step is from the patient, the blood cells are collected, lymphocytes are collected. Then in them, the cells are grown first of all, and then in them, this for particular ADA deficiency, if we talk about, then ADA functional gene is added by rDNA technology, and then these are combined with the patient's lymphocyte. Then transformants are selected. Then this transformant are given back to patient, and this is how the treatment is done. But if, see, lymphocytes, we know they are not immortal cells. Lymphocytes die after few days, so they have to be replaced. So that is why regular gene therapy treatment should be given to the patient suffering with any gene deficiency. But if this treatment is given in embryonic stage, see, periodic gene therapy treatment has to be given because the lymphocytes are not immortal, because they die after a certain period. So if we isolate the gene from the patient, from the bone marrow of the patient in early embryonic stage, then it could be permanent treatment. Okay, otherwise if it is not done in embryonic stage, early embryonic stage, then it can be regular periodic treatment must be given. This is about gene therapy, that is nothing but replacement of non-functional gene with the active gene. Okay. Now, what is molecular diagnosis? Conventional method, they are not suitable for early diagnosis. Conventional method means urine analysis or blood test, they are not suitable for early diagnosis for any disease. But if rDNA technology or PCR or ELISA, what is rDNA, recombinant DNA technology? PCR we have seen in biotechnology principles chapter, polymerase chain reaction, that is, and ELISA is enzyme linked immunosorbent assay, that is antigen antibody binding reaction. Now these are the three processes which are some of the techniques which are used for early diagnosis. We have learnt about rDNA technology. Now what is PCR? PCR can also be used if very low concentration of bacteria or virus are there. See, during the early stage of infection, in our body there are not sufficient microbes, there are not sufficient pathogens, which can be used to diagnose the disease, and they are very low in number, and that is where this process are useful. By the help of PCR, very low amount of pathogens or microbes, they are also amplified. They can also be multiplied in number. Amplification of nucleic acid is done, and they are used to treat to diagnose early HIV infection in AIDS patient. This technique is used in AIDS patient. Second is, what is ELISA? ELISA is principle of antigen-antibody interaction, and that can be detected by presence of antigen. That means the presence of microbe that is called as antigen, which cause the infection, or the antibodies produced against these microbes. If they are present in the patient, the infection can be detected, diagnosed. Now in this, the single stranded DNA or RNA tagged with radioactive molecule is allowed to hybridize to its complementary DNA. It is tagged with radioactive molecule and it is allowed to hybridize to complementary DNA. Now what happens? If this complementary DNA is mutated? Of course, if it is mutated, it is not complementary DNA, and that will not be bound with the radioactive molecule bound DNA. Okay, radioactive molecule tagged DNA will not bind with mutated gene, and that is how the disease can be diagnosed. If it is mutated gene, then the disease can be diagnosed that way by binding it to radioactive molecules. This is molecular diagnosis. In this we use rDNA, PCR and ELISA techniques mainly. Now coming to transgenic animals. What are transgenic animals? See, the animals, if they are manipulated with the DNA to possess and express the foreign gene. If some foreign gene is introduced in their DNA, then they are called as transgenic animals. There are many nowadays transgenic rabbits, pigs, cows, fish. These all are produced. What is the purpose of producing transgenic animals? First purpose is to study the effect of gene on normal physiology of animals. On normal physiology and development of animals. For example, study of complex factor like insulin growth factor. The genes that alter this factor, they are introduced and their biological effect are studied. This gives the information of biological role of this factor in our body, right? So particular gene or particular factor is taken, particular hormone is taken, then this gene producing that factor is introduced into animal, and what is the effect of that particular gene on the animal is studied by transgenic animal model. So it gives the idea that how will it affect the other animals' growth and development. This is the first purpose, to study the effect of gene. Second purpose is to study the disease distribution of gene. The transgenic animals are made to serve as a model for human disease so that investigation of new treatment for disease can be made possible. Like the disease carrying genes for cancer, cystic fibrosis, rheumatic arthritis, Alzheimer's, etc. These all disease genes, they are introduced in these animals, transgenic animals, to develop the treatment for the disease, to study this disease development, and then in turn this is done for finding the early treatment of the disease, how the disease developed and how it can be cured. To study this, the transgenic animals serve as a model for human beings to produce useful biological product. Now take an example of COVID vaccine. COVID vaccine, how the lab trials and all were done. Vaccine. COVID vaccine, when the vaccines are produced, they have to be clinically trialed, right? And this clinical trial is done on, first of all, it is done on animals, these transgenic animals, and then it is done on the human beings. Certain medicines are required for specific biological product, which are very expensive. Certain medicines require some biological product which are very expensive to make. And for this, the transgenic animals are used to produce this biological product. The biological product is multiplied in their body. They are used as tool. They are multiplied in their body by rDNA technology, and then this biological product is extracted, which is used for producing different kind of medicine. For example, treatment of disease such as emphysema. In that, alpha-1 antitrypsin, that is human protein, which is used. The phenylketonuria, this is also one of the diseases. Cystic fibrosis, this disease, they are treated by producing biological product in the animals. In 1997, the first transgenic cow was produced, which was Rosie. The benefit of this was it gave the milk which was enriched with human protein. It contained 2.4 gram of human protein per liter of the milk and alpha lactalbumin. These both were not present in the natural cow's milk. So this was nutritionally more balanced product for human babies than the cow's milk. Okay, this is the example of transgenic cow Rosie. It was produced in 1997. Of course, ethically these are all not good to use animals, because animals are also the living beings. They also have the right to live, right? Now they are also used to test vaccine safety. Just now, as we have discussed, transgenic mice, they are used to test the safety of polio vaccine. And if it finds useful, if the mice are found useful, they can be replaced by the monkeys can be the mice can replace the monkeys which are used to test the safety of vaccine. Monkeys are mainly used to test the safety of vaccine. Fifth purpose of this is chemical safety or toxicity testing. The transgenic animals, they are used to carry the genes which make them more sensitive to toxin substance. And they are, first of all, the genes are introduced in their body which make them sensitive to toxic substance, and then they are exposed to toxic substances. And then the effect are studied, that how these genes are effective against this toxic effect of these chemicals or toxic material. So this is how the transgenic animals are used, and that is also creating problem, because it is nothing but the topic of ethical issue, and it is not ethically right to use animals just for our benefit. Genetic modification of organism can have unpredictable result also when they are introduced into the natural ecosystem. Therefore, Indian government has set GEAC. What is GEAC? Genetic Engineering Approval Committee. This Genetic Engineering Approval Committee, which mainly aim at decisions regarding the validity of GM research and safety of introducing this organism for public service. This organization, GEAC, it takes care that the GM research is done with the safety levels maintained, and they are introduced to public service by maintaining the safety and validity of GM research. This is the main purpose of GEAC, Genetic Engineering Approval Committee organization. Biopiracy is use of bioresources by international companies and other organizations without proper authorization from other countries or people who are concerned. Like suppose we have invented the basmati rice. Take an example here. Basmati rice example is given. In 1997, one American company got patent rights on basmati rice. Basmati rice is the patented rice of India. But American company, they claim that they have produced new variety of basmati, which was actually derived from Indian farmers' varieties. They got it from Indian farmers, and then they crossed this Indian basmati variety with semi-dwarf varieties. And after crossing, they produced one basmati basmati rice plant, and that was claimed as novelty by them. So this was an act of biopiracy. Without giving proper acknowledgement or without giving proper compensatory payment or authorization, taking proper authorization from India, they had patented this right. So this is called as biopiracy. We should not use any of the bioresources which belong to any other country or any other people without their proper consent. Due to growing realization of injustice, inadequate compensation and benefit shared between developed and developing countries. Developed and developing countries, they are doing injustice to the poor countries. Inadequate compensation is given, and that is why some nations are developing laws such as unauthorized exploitation of these bioresources and traditional knowledge should not be done. This is nowadays, this is so by some of the nations there is a law formed and legal actions are taken if the bioresources or traditional knowledge are exploited of some people or of some country. So this comes under biopiracy, right? So I hope this is clear. The applications of biotechnology, there are number of applications, and biotechnology is a vast field, very useful, but we should use this biotechnology not in excessive amount that it becomes ethical issue or it becomes biopiracy issue. We should take all these issues in mind, and then we should apply this biotechnological knowledge for the human benefit, right? Thank you. If you have any doubts, you can get back to me. Thank you so much.